Alright, welcome back to the Quick Speed Shop. What I'm doing tonight is mothballing the old engine that came out of Doodlebug. Then we're going to go back on here and I'm going to show you what it looks like with the oil pan off. And I'm going to prepare to button the sucker up and paint it up. So here we go. Alright, so the first thing I've done is I've taken some motor oil and I dumped a whole bunch in the cylinders here, and I put it all over the top of the deck. And then I went and I cleaned out the cylinder head off this engine. They had the mouse nest in the coolant jacket, and they got in the head, they kind of plugged up here and ruined a bunch of stuff. So what I've done is I've taped up all the coolant passages so rust and crud can't fall into the good engine, the engine board over here. And I'm basically just going to take this head and slap it back on with this motor oil in it and seal this sucker up for a while. Oop, oop. This might be a finger pincher. I gotta be careful. But bam! So now I got oil in. So now I got oil in here. 1540. I'm just going to go ahead and run all the head nut studs on real fast and plug up the holes. I'm going to need the water neck and pipe for this engine. I'm just going to plug up the holes, and I'm going to put this over my other side where I store engines, just oiled up. And for another, it's going to fight another day. Someday I'll take it apart and fix the timing gears, pull the valves out, have a valve job done. This would be a good engine for a candidate for a complete rebuild, you know, board and all that stuff. But in the meantime, we'll just oil her up and we'll push it in the corner. Alright, there we go. I bolted the head down. I put oily rags in all the intake and exhaust ports and in the water neck and the water pipe over here. So now we'll focus on over here. I've got the oil pan off. I've cleaned the block all up good. I've cleaned the transmission off. I've cleaned the top of the head off good with a wire wheel. And got that all cleaned up nice, ready for the head gasket to go back on. I took some Simple Green, and first I took kerosene. There was a lot of oily and sludge in the oil pan, and I soaked it in kerosene, then I sloshed it around, and the oil was real old and goopy and had a lot of grit in it from just like sitting for a long time. So I got all the sludge out of the pan. And you got to remember, these engines don't have oil filters. You know, there's no way you end up a lot of sludge in the pan and everything else just from the years of running them. So I got that all cleaned out with kerosene, and then I took some Simple Green and I washed it all down nice and got all the grit and the slime out of the oil pan. So we're going to wheel on over here. I'll get the camera under here and we'll take a shot of the crank. I'll show you how that looks. What we got here is, this is the windage tray. The oil pump goes down this hole, and what the oil pump does, it pumps oil up from the pan into the windage tray, and then there's dippers on the rods, which I'll show you here. Let me slide under here. So you can see here's the engine all cleaned up pretty good. I'm going to hit it with some brake cleaner when I get ready to paint it. But I went and I wire wheeled the top of the head real nice and the valves real nice, got all the carbon off everything. And it'll clean up nice when I go to put the cylinder head on. Here's the bottom of the engine. You can see the dippers. I've been looking into the light. You can see the dippers on the rods. See here, look at square bolts for the main bolts. You don't ever see that anymore. You got the cam gear and the crank gear. This pipe here is the oil drain back. It drains oil out of the rear main back into the pan here. Alright, right before I went down to Hershey, Pennsylvania, I threw a coat of paint on the engine block here to keep it from rusting. I've got a couple of coats of paint on the block and the bell housing. I'm going to go ahead and get the oil pan, the side cover, and all that out. We'll put those on the engine block here, and then we'll paint all that stuff up, put the head on, reassemble it. I dug out a good carburetor from the basement. We'll slam that on and get the cowl on here. I think I've got a reproduction wiring harness in my part storage. We'll wire up the engine, and hopefully we can get this sucker fired up and going. So let me go ahead and I'll get the oil pan and the side cover. We'll bolt all this stuff back on here. Well, I haven't made too much progress yet. The engine's still sitting here like it was before I went to Hershey. I had a whole bunch of other stuff going on, moving vehicles around. Like, it went from like summer to winter in one weekend, so I haven't had a chance to work on this too much. But I'm gonna get back at it in a week or two here. So anyways, I'll just end it now. You've seen what I've done, and we'll pick it up for the next part when I reassemble the engine, and we start putting the thing back together. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Hit the button over here, right there on the valve train. Where is it? Bang, right there. Hit it. And ring the bell for the alerts. I'm putting out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. So as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again at the Quick Speed Shop.